In this video, we're going to take this image of a mission that I shot in San Antonio. And as you can see, there's some issues here. We got some gray skies, we have some dead trees, we got some areas in the grass that the sand is coming through. We don't really want to see that. And of course, we have this major distortion in the building, which is going to have to be addressed. So we're going to take this image and go from here and go to here with it, where everything is straightened, the grass is greener. We put some live trees in there. And of course, we'll replace the sky. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here we are with our base image. We'll just keep this image for reference as a guide. And this should be included. If you downloaded this image, you should have everything that I see here, except you won't have this finish layer. I just did that for this video. And so let's get started. Where to start with this thing? Well, I started with the easy stuff, and of course, that was the grass. Now, there's a couple of ways you could do this. I actually started off with creating a new layer, which is Command-Shift-N, and we'll just call this New Grass. For those of you who don't like keyboard shortcuts, we just go to Layer, New. As you can see up here, new layer is Command-Shift-N. Keyboard shortcuts are a lot faster. So that's what I'm going to be using most of the time through here, so you might want to get used to them. I'm going to use the Clone Stamp tool, and I'm going to switch over here using keyboard shortcut S for stamp. Now, if your preferences in Photoshop are not set up to require the Shift key in order to pick a tool, we need to turn that on real quick. So let's go up here to Photoshop, Preferences, and let's go to Tools. And you'll notice right here, it'll say, where is it? Use Shift key for tool switch. If you have that checked, turn that off. All right, and then turn it off and hit OK. And then now you'll notice if I want to go to the Clone Stamp tool, I hit S. If I want to go to the Marquee tool, I hit M. And all I have to do is just tap the letter on the keyboard, which is a lot faster than adding the Shift key and going to that. If you want to cycle through, you might have a couple of different tools for each one. If you want to cycle through them, you just hit the key more than once. So in this case, if I hit the M key again, it'll go to the elliptical marquee tool. It'll go to the elliptical marquee tool. If I press it again, it goes back to the square marquee. Now you will notice that the M is only next to these two. If I want to pick any of these two, I have to manually come in here and do it, and you can set that up in under preferences too, but we're not going to get into that right now. It's a little more advanced, but however yours is set up, just taking the Shift key off is going to be a lot faster in preferences. Okay, so let's get back to this. So now that I have my marquee tool, my clone stamp tool selected over here, I'm going to increase my brush size. And the way I'm increasing my brush size, I'm using a pen tablet. So all I'm holding down is Control and Option. That's Alt and Control on a PC. Hold down those two keys, put your pen on the tablet and go up and down. Trace up and down with your pen to soften and harden the brush, and go left and right to control the size. If you don't have a pen and you're using your mouse, generally you can hit those same keys and use your scroll wheel up and down, or even move the mouse up and down, or move the mouse left and right to increase or decrease the size of the brush. Same thing on a trackpad. All right, I'll let you guys experiment with that. So now we got a pretty decent sized brush. I'm just going to make it a little smaller, a little softer, and then I'm going to sample the grass out over here. So I'm going to hold down the Option key and sample this grass, and I'm just going to go down here and replace. And it's a good idea. You notice how that is following me around. And that's because up here I have this aligned check. So I always want my sample point to parallel or to stay adjacent to my sample. Now, as you're doing this, you would not want to sample from way up here and paste down here, because one, the angle is wrong, and two, the grass size is completely different. So you generally want to stay, if possible, close to or on the same plane. So I might go out over here and tape in here. Now the problem we're having here is that the texture is quite a bit different. I would have to go in here and lay quite a bit. There's some weeds, and I'm constantly I've got my thumb just on the Option key or the Alt key on the PC, and I'm constantly pressing that, resampling, moving over, painting, cloning, whatever you want to call it. And this may be fine. If this is all you want to do, that's fine. But as you can see, it's looking a little splotty, and you could probably do a little bit better job if you took your time. But I decided that I'm just going to replace all the grass. Maybe not this in here because you can't really see the detail of it, but definitely this here in the foreground. So what I did is let's go ahead and delete this layer. If you want to keep that layer, then go ahead and you can skip the grass replacement. So I'm going to delete this layer, just hit the delete key. And here's what we have for our grass layer. Now all we kind of want to do is match the angle, which I just found this on the web. And I just found this field. He was about the same angle I was, looking across a field, etc. You don't really have to be too critical here, but it's a good habit to be in. And what I mean by that is to match the horizon. So let's bring in a horizon line. I'm going to make this picture just a tad smaller. Let's bring in a horizon line or a guideline from the top here. And you just, from your rulers, if you don't have your rulers showing, just hit Command R to show and hide the rulers. So what we want to do is go up here in the ruler and click and drag down a guide. And a horizon line should be about right here, close enough. And that's our reference. So in this image, our horizon line, and I'm just going to click on the image on this layer. I'm going to switch to my Move tool, which is right here, where you can press the V key and move this image up and down. And that about right there is my horizon line. So now we've got that matched up. You could probably get away with moving it wherever, but just for the sake of clarity, let's get this lined up. So that's our horizon line. And then I'm going to put a mask on here, and I'm going to fill it, put the mask on there and fill it with black. So our foreground and background is white and black. If it's not, just press your D key to go to your default colors, which are black and white, and then hit X to switch your foreground color to black. Now if we want to fill this with black, we can simply, there's a couple of ways we can do this, okay? We can simply hit Command I to invert what's there, which makes it black. We could fill with black, which would be Option Delete or Alt Delete on Mac. Or even the easier way, let me get rid of this first, is let's delete layer mask, is that when you create this mask, if you hold down the Option or the Alt key and then click it, it will fill it with black for you, killing two birds with one stone there. So you can use any of those methods. So now that it's filled with black, we want to put some grass in here. Now you could go in here with a white brush, and you can see my foreground is black. I want it to be white, so I'm just going to hit X on the keyboard to swap foreground and background. I'm going to select a brush of fairly soft, let's say around a hardness of 89%, size about right there, and I could just start painting in this grass right here, okay? And then of course as we get closer, I'm going to zoom in. As we get close to the sidewalk here, I got to make my brush a lot smaller and get to the sidewalk. Now the way I prefer to do things like that is to trace this sidewalk and kind of create an outline for it and then just fill this whole area with black. That way I can give more detail to the sidewalk. That way I can give more detail of a selection to the sidewalk. So let's go in there. Let's zoom in, and I'm going to use the dreaded pen tool. If you want, you can use this tool, the lasso tool, and go in here like this, create a little selection at a time. Hold down the Shift key, keep drawing along the edge. If you've got a pen, it's not too bad. If you got a mouse, it's going to be a little harder, trackpad, tad bit easier. You could do something like that. But we're going to use the pen tool. I'm going to use the pen tool. So we're just going to click once right here. Click, do not let up, and hold and drag out. And you're going to see these 2 points. And what these 2 points are telling you is this is the direction that the next point is going to be. So we'll click and let go. I'm going to move over this way. I'm going to get rid of these two panels temporarily so we have more room to see. And then I'm going to click down here, and I'm looking at that guideline. I realize it's kind of hard to see. I'm going to look at this guide and try to follow that edge right there. Let me redo that. Click right here, drag out. And as you see how I move this up and down, what's happening to that line, so I can make that line bend as far back as I want or as close. As you can see, if I bring these two little anchor points closer in to my original point, it makes a smaller curve. The more I stretch it out, the higher the curve goes. So I can really match the curvature of that sidewalk. So I'll click there. I'm going to press the space bar, and I get the hand, and that allows me to move a little bit further down the sidewalk. And I'm going to click somewhere down here. And again, I'm clicking and dragging, matching that line the best I can to the sidewalk. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just going to keep doing this until right here. They need some edging here, don't they? So we're going to click here. This is all, we know this is all straight lines, right? So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to this corner, go down just a little bit. Now, you notice how I pulled this down, I made it round and go down. See right in this area here? Now what you want to do is hold down your Option key, and then notice how only one handle is moving as opposed to both handles. So hold down the Option key, and what I'm telling it is that the next place I want to go is out in this direction. So let's go out this direction, click and drag, and let's put a point somewhere down here. Let's move that up a little bit. I'm using my arrow keys to move this point around. Okay, so you can see that line is right there. And we can refine this later, so let's just keep going. Click right here. Now if I want to go over that mound, remember as I said before, I can hold down the Option key, and I want to go up and over that mound. So I just kind of point in the general direction. If I put a point over here, you can see that arch. I'll zoom in here so you can see this closer. Zoom this in, hold down the Option key. Now I can tell it the next direction I want to go, which is down this way. This length that I'm pulling it is completely up to you. It's arbitrary, especially on a straight line. It doesn't really matter. It's only if you're going to put a curve. And we'll get to maybe that a little bit later. So let's just go, let that go. And click down here. We got a little mound coming up. Click up here. Click here, drag. Notice how that I'm following that curvature right there. Click. Some of these I'm just going to ignore for the sake of getting through this video a little quicker. And I'm just going to continue doing this. I'm probably going to fast forward here so you don't have to watch me do this whole thing. But let me get a little further here. I'm clicking. Actually, I'm going to select the sidewalk. And then I can invert this later. Click, drag. See, we got a little curve going in here. So I'm just clicking, dragging this a little bit. And if you put this point too far down or too far into the grass, it's easier to use your arrow keys to move that up and down. Get it precise. Move this further down. Click and drag. I want to match this area right here. See where that's curving? I'm trying to match that. Hold down the Option key because I want it to follow the curve of this sidewalk. Click. Now it looks like we're on a straight run here. And I could go all the way to the other end, but I like to just do a little piece at a time so I know I'm following this curve. We'll go to here. Now we've got some curves. So I just clicked there. I didn't drag out any handles, you'll notice. So now I can click over here, and if I drag out handles, see what's happening to that line? So I can match that curve. Then I'm going to click way over here and drag this way and see how it's matching that curve again. Now I need to go back the other direction. I want my next point's going to be down here, but this is pointing this way. So watch what happens if I put a point down here. See where that line wants to go? It wants to loop back past the point and go in like this. I don't want that. So I can go back to here and I'm going to hit Option or Alt on the PC, and you see that little arrow change. Now I can click it and move this because I want to go this direction. And I want to bring, oops, my bad, bring this down, grab this handle, go this direction, click here, click once, click here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward and select the rest of this and let you guys work on this on your own. All right, so I have finished making my selection using the pen tool. I'm going to go now and press Command Enter. That's going to turn the lines that I created with the pen tool into a selection by hitting the Command Enter or Return on the Mac. So now that we've done that, let's bring our panel back over here. Move this out just a little bit. And here is the mask that we originally created with the paintbrush. So since this selection is only going to let us paint on the inside of that, which is we're not interested in painting over the sidewalk, thereby replacing the sidewalk with this grass. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-I. That's to invert the selection, or you can go up here to Select Inverse. Okay. Now I can take that paintbrush, make it as big as I want, and pretty much just start painting, as long as I don't go too high up there. And earlier I said I wasn't going to go up into here, but since it's going to be easy enough, let's do it. And I can just go in here, and I shouldn't go on the building there. Let's make this brush a little smaller. Let's zoom in here and figure out what we're doing here. Let's figure out where this corner is. That goes right down there, doesn't it? Make this brush even smaller, a little softer. Gotta come in here. And let's zoom out. See how our grass is looking. Take care of all this. Let's zoom all the way out. And I think, like I said, I didn't want to really go up there, so I'm not going to go too far beyond this section right here, or this last sidewalk. Try not to anyways. So now I'm going to hit Command-D to deselect our selection here. And so now we have our new grass, no sand. And we're probably going to end up changing the grass. It's kind of nice. I like this green over here. This is getting a little pale over here. So let's darken this down just a little bit. So how I'm going to do that is create a new adjustment layer, curves adjustment layer. Actually, let's try to do it a little bit easier way. Let's use hue saturation. So I'm going to click on hue saturation. And really what I'm looking at, even though this is going to affect, whatever I do here is going to affect the entire image. But I'm really just looking right in this area right here. I really want to darken this down a little bit, make it a little greener. We might go over here, up here a little bit. So just +3. -14. Now I'm going to take this mask and I'm going to fill it with black. You remember how we did that? Let's bring our tools back. I'm going to hit, so black is our background, as you can see over here. So I'm going to hit Command Delete or Control Delete on a PC, and that's going to fill that mask with black. So that hides everything we just did. So if I want to see that if I want to see the effect I just created to the grass, I need to paint with white. So I got a brush, and I have a white in the foreground, 100% opacity, 100% flow. And if I start painting, you see how that's a little bit darker? So that's obviously too abrupt, so I need something a little softer, a little bigger. And we'll just darken this area until it's starting to match kind of the other area. Now we still see a line. Let's go up here to opacity and change that to 20%. I did that by just pressing the 2 key on my keyboard. That's a quick way to jump around in opacity. And now just so I don't see that line so harsh, I can just darken this in a little bit. All right, so let's see our before and after. So I've just taken that grass and kind of matched it to the rest of the lawn a little bit. Now you could have left it like this, okay? I'm just trying to show you what I might do, the way you might want to do it. And of course, we're trying to cover a lot of different techniques here. And this can be used on trees, on grass. Obviously, it can be used on all kinds of things, skin, you name it. So now that we've done that, let's get rid of our horizon line there. So I'm going to hit Command and the colon or semicolon on your keyboard. And that hides and displays your guides. So I'm going to hide that. Now the next thing I want to do is replace the sky. So since we're going to get rid of all these dead trees anyways, we want to put some colorful trees in there. Now the palm trees, okay, they can stay. So everything, the sky is what we want to get rid of. So everything back here, we'll leave some of these buildings in, or maybe we can take them out. Let's just leave them in for the sake of simplicity. We'll get rid of these trees, get rid of these dead trees back here. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see. So basically, in this case, we're going to make a selection along this wall. Still, and then around these trees, it's going to be a little tricky here. And then along this wall, we got to leave these palm trees in. We don't have to, but I'm going to. Get rid of all these dead trees, or we're going to put some leaves on it. So the horizon line again is somewhere back here as far as the trees are concerned, distant trees. So I'm going to really get rid of all of this. But when we put in the new trees and the new leaves on this tree, we want to keep the bark and the major branches, but all this stuff is going to go. And now that I'm zoomed in here, as you can see, we have some of our old grass sticking out. So if you wanted to, sorry, I got a little sidetracked here. We go back to our brush and we'll go to 100%. So we'll click on our grass layer and then back on our mask, and we'll come in here with a white brush, not a black brush, and fix some of this stuff. And again, I'm not going to painfully go through all this with you. And you could do this to the extent that it actually makes a difference. Now, here's kind of a guide that you can use. You should always look at your image at 100%. So down here in the left-hand corner, we're at 536.43%. 553%. So if you hit Command 1, that's going to jump to 100%. If you can see it at 100%, it needs to be fixed. If you can't see it at 100%, you can get away with it. And that's for prints. If it's projected, this is going to be a lot smaller, and you could probably go to Command 0, which takes the image and fits it in there. And this is probably more what you're going to see if you were going to use this as a projected image. And as you can see, you can't see any of those arrows. You can't see any of that grass sticking up. But I'd like to, if I were you, I'd go in here and stuff that's really, really obvious, especially this straight line stuff, I'd get rid of it. Now, before we go in and start doing all that, I know I'm going off on a tangent kind of back to the grass, but it brings us to a good point here where if on this mask layer, if I have this clicked, I can go over here and you see the properties of the mask and see this feather. After the fact, I can put a feather on that. And let me zoom in here so you can watch what it does to the edge here. See how sharp that edge is? And all I have to do is just put a little bit of softness in here, maybe just a couple of pixels right here. And that's going to soften that edge a little bit, which you want to do anyways, which I forgot to do. Now we can go back in here with our brush and go ahead and paint a little bit. Now there's different brushes. There's actually a grass brush tool, and we'll show you that here in just a second. If you want to get really particular, but this grass is kind of fuzzy. You're not really seeing any blades of grass sticking up. And the brush that I would use has kind of blades of grass. I guess you could make it really, really, really tiny and make it look a little more realistic. But I think this is fine. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here. Anyway, so I'm not going to go around this whole thing, but you get the general idea, and that's what you'd want to do to that. So let's go ahead and replace the sky in here, and we'll continue that in part 2 of this video.